I wanted to talk today a little bit about enterprise architecture. This is a specialty that has been given a bad rep in the past, mainly because it's not well understood and people have implemented it poorly in their organizations. But let's step back a second. Before we go too far, I want you to close your eyes and imagine all of your IT systems built up exactly to meet the strategic needs of your business. Think about what that would mean to have your ability to scale your business however you needed it to scale and have all the systems work together without having to have any of the manual processes you probably have today. At the core, that is what enterprise architecture brings to you. When we think about it, most IT is really designed to meet the wants of yesterday. And what I mean by that is that it wasn't designed together. It was basically cobbled together. And because it has been cobbled together like that, it can't scale. And when IT can't scale, your business can't scale. EA really aligns your strategic needs and builds an IT organization and systems and architecture around it. At the end, this is what's going to maximize the value you get out of IT. And when you maximize the value out of IT, you're going to have a tool that can help you get the most value you get out of your business. Forget the methodology for a second. Forget the particular artifacts, because there are many, many methodologies and many, many different artifacts. At its core, all of EA really helps by creating and enforcing principles for planning. These principles are simple, elevator pitch type style points that are easily discussed with what is important to you as a business leader, as well as what's important from the IT side. These things become the cornerstone of exactly how decisions are made in our planning process. An example I'll use: in one organization that I had 450 applications and 13 ERP systems, I created a series of principles of planning that included a quadrant that explained on what business domains what system was going to be used, what was the core system. So what was happening in the past was the decisions were made all technically. So if a new project came up, it might be in Salesforce, it might be in Oracle, it might be in any number of pieces, depending on who was available and what their technology tool du jour was. But now we were changing it. So for example, if it was a commercial operations side, if it was something that was customer facing, that was going to be in Salesforce. Clear-cut, simple principle that drove all decisions based on it. That's really what you want to get on your principles for planning. We make sure that the IT vision meets the business needs. What I mean by this is many decisions when we're building IT strategies and IT visions, one of the problems is that we're looking at it sometimes from a technical perspective. It's important to know what's going to happen in the future and build out a system so that we get things where technically we're going. But we have to make sure it's always done and looking at what the business needs and where the strategy is going. All our decisions really should be based on that. Sure, we have to look at, okay, if the technology is going to significantly change and we have to address that, that has to be part of our vision, but it should always be in that business need framework. It promotes decisions based on impact and value. So instead of making decisions because the vice president of sales and marketing asked for this and must be done right away, it really builds a model where we're looking at all the things of how we're building and how we're prioritizing on project management on the basis of impact and value. So if this thing that we're working on now is going to have the highest impact and the highest value, we make sure we have the IT organization working on those pieces, as opposed to potentially something that's just come up that an individual, even at a high level, just wants because they want it. Again, it's all about transparency and visibility. This makes it so that it becomes data-based decisions based on all this, what we're done. Further towards that transparency is the landscapes and roadmaps. A lot of times we're making our decisions about what we should be doing in IT in a bubble. We're really only concentrating on the next few weeks of things, and we don't think about the long-term impact. By having landscapes and roadmaps, it gives a very visible idea of where things stand. It allows us, for example, to take a look and say, okay, well, if we do this little task here, that's going to move this major strategic thing that we're doing out here out 5 weeks. Is that worthwhile? It becomes simple to have that conversation because it's really not about what people want. It's really about that data-based decision of, is what you're working on now worth moving out this strategic objective 5 weeks? Maybe it is. Maybe it's a huge thing that's going to grant us $10 million in the next week. No question about it. It isn't about what's right and what's wrong. It's really about just making sure you understand what the decision's going to mean. EA also creates and enforces execution standards. All the stuff that we've talked about before is really business facing and how we do things from a business perspective and some of the decision-making process. But within EA is also helps the IT group work towards those same standards so that everything it is working on is going all together. So it's very, very important that when we build out this, like what I've done when I've optimized an IT group, especially for turnarounds, is to make sure there are standard operating procedures in place that everyone can work from, that they understand and is very visible and very documented so they know what they have to do to stay within this framework that we're building. Really, at the end, enterprise architecture will help you ensure that everything that's being built in IT and what they're building in IT is going to meet all these needs that we talked about before and meet your strategic vision. Because of this alignment, I call it fused with business, not aligned with business. Aligned with business makes it sound like IT is separate. It's really fused with business to make sure that all the decisions that are being made are really made within that business framework. From everything that we do to the prioritization of things that come in and what decisions were made, it all fits together. And when these things all fit together, think about it as the difference between a skyscraper and the Winchester House. Skyscraper, let's use the Empire State Building. Beautiful building, everyone understands, long time being there, it's easy. Winchester House, you've got hallways that go nowhere. Which would you rather your business be? Would you rather it be elegant, or would you rather it to be unusual? Sometimes you want both, I got that. But the whole idea is EA will get you to wherever you want it to be because it's building things to a plan. So you have a foundation that is built on rock as opposed to sand. It's built to a plan to do what you need it to do, and it could be as agile and flexible as you need it to be, but not more so, because that's important. You don't want to have a system that is so flexible, but you don't need that level of flexibility. There's no point. So anyway, that's what EA buys you. It's very, very important in mindset and is one of the key components of any IT optimization and important towards a digital transformation if you're doing it. Thanks.